That's more than a hair. That's a big hair.
76. 276.
Episode 276. Welcome to the Now of Work Digital Meetup. So great to have you here. It is Friday, September 12th, 2025. 2025.
I'm losing track.
Yes. Hope everyone has had a great week so far and great to be in Minneapolis. Uh,
Yes.
been here since number one. Let's go.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, she's been here more than me.
Sure, I know. Some people might have better attendance than we do.
Yeah. Um, you guys are not on split screen of me, but alternating. Is that just me?
Hmm.
Maybe. Maybe
Well,
we
you all control your own settings. Oh, really? Did we
maybe
change
we
it in our settings? Alternating,
maybe we've got some weird new capabilities or something going on today.
same as last week.
Huh. Okay. Whoever speaks takes center stage. Well, that just makes sure that Jess, you're big.
Jumps
I'm
around.
big.
So go on your view, upper right-hand corner, hit view. I think you can control your own attendee view, put it into gallery.
It could be
Maybe
just us.
if it's
Could be
not,
just us. Everything changes all the time.
there.
Anyway, let's
Okay.
move on. So
Whatever we did fixed it. Thanks, JC, if you did something. I don't
yeah,
know.
our amazing JC Grider behind the scenes. Nikita, hello. Heidi, hello. Anyway, welcome everyone. T Ward, welcome. So great to have everyone here. And I hope you've had a great week. Brussels in the house. Actually, that's cool. Why don't you everyone, let's go ahead and do our little green, yellow, red, because we have a lot to talk about today. We have no guests, so Jess and I are going to go at it like bang, 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 bang. But we have San Antonio in the house, which is great. Jess, you and I are both in Minneapolis. We've got some green, yellow, red, green, 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 so green. John, I'm sorry. Uh, Leah is probably yellow because she hasn't seen the sun, but I shouldn't guess like that. Donna, yellow. We've got some yellows, and we'll talk about that. Jess, where are you? Well, I guess I can tell by looking at your background, right?
Other than Minneapolis. Uh, it, I've kind of been like hanging out in the red yellow zone. But when you know it and you're sort of just you're accepting it, you're dealing with it, it's a process. I think that makes it a little bit more okay. I wasn't like dragged here suddenly. I know where I'm at. I feel like I'm like sort of like actively managing a tiny bit of burnout, Jason, and I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
we had a good conversation about that earlier this week.
yeah, yeah. And people
I mean,
always
not a good conversation about it, but we had a conversation about it that hope.
sometimes that's all you can do is have a
Yeah,
conversation because people want to. I think our natural inclination is to want to fix it. And this isn't something that can be fixed overnight. It's something, it's like committing to a roller coaster. It's over when it's over. You don't get off in the middle of the roller coaster. I'll be off when it's time to get off. I'm just where I am right now.
yeah, and Uh, I mean, there's the optimistic me.
Mhm.
So I'm green, but it was a crazy week. Well, I'll talk about it in a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a crazy week. But anyway, we are where we are. I'm green. I'm heading to St. Cloud, Minnesota for a football game tonight, to see my kid play game number 3. So excited for that. And by the way, Jess and I, have a number of topics ready to talk about today. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that if you guys have some topics that you want to talk about, please put them in the chat
Yeah.
because I want to make sure we do that as well, to include the community. And when we do these open days without guests, I really want to make sure we get the opportunity to do that.
Mm.
So I saw for anyone that's read, please take time to talk to someone if you can. Really appreciate it. I can't wait to have Tiana indulge in me. I can't wait to indulge in you. I love that word, don't you? Indulge.
Yes.
Yes. Can't wait to indulge today. So, Tiana, you're as always very well spoken. And let's talk about one big thing. So, Jess, I know there were lots of things this week. and let's not get too newsy at the moment.
Right.
Good, but let's talk about, something that you accomplished or that you made you feel great or that you feel really
Mm.
good about.
Well, last week when we spoke, I was headed off into the woods with my the participants of Diverse Daisies, the nonprofit that I lead in my spare time. It's our annual event. It is literally designed to be our biggest, most epic event. We kind of go into the woods and camp at Campfire, Minnesota, which is another local nonprofit here in Minneapolis. We have a great partnership. And from Friday night after school until Sunday afternoon, we do all kinds of cool things together. But the point is just to be together. We have the entire 100-acre property to ourselves. We get a little bit of help from campfire staff. Otherwise, it's us, sort of having building our own experience together, which was amazing. It was. This was our second annual. Last year was an experiment. This year was a repeat. I'm learning a lot as we go. Um, I'm getting what I asked for, which is this program is outgrowing me. And it's incredibly diverse, which means I have girls from every walk of life. I have several regular participants who come to me from foster homes. I have several who come with diverse needs. I have girls from every level of ability and socioeconomic status. And here's what, when workplaces say, come one, come all, come as you are. We want everybody to bring their whole self to work. We want these incredibly diverse and inclusive environments. I think most organizations don't understand what that requires. Just me and my little microcosm of the world creating that kind of environment through Diverse Daisies. I know what that requires. When you ask for it and you get it, guess what you need to do? Support that. You need to have the infrastructure and the resources. You need to, like, there's so many things that you need to do to create that environment and to deliver the right experience for everybody who comes into that space with you. And we've definitely reached the stretch point, which is perfect, amazing, exactly what I wanted. Like my wishes are coming true. But you know how this feels if you've ever managed a stretch program, if you've ever grown something to the point of breaking, you know what that feels like when you realize you're there and you realize that now it's time for resources. Now it's time to build better scaffolding. Now it's like that, the scale and growth that requires became super evident to me last weekend. It was good. We pulled it
Hey,
off.
well, let's make it bigger.
Yeah, let's make it bigger. That's my one big thing. It was a big event and it was a massive aha moment at the same time.
Oh shit moment, all of those at the same time,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yes.
So, guys, really quickly, I mean, I think that that's amazing. So, I didn't even we talk about our one big thing. I usually ask you to put your one big thing in the chat, and I forgot that today. So I apologize. Um, oh, Jess, I've never seen the names, that tattoo. Is that a
Oh,
tattoo? I've never even seen that.
my kids' names?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
was like, is that magic marker? Like I've never noticed that.
yeah, my kids, they're like, oh my God, Mom, everybody knows our names now. And I'm like, they already did. I already talk about you.
That's good. Well, hey, I'd love for everyone to put their one big thing in the chat. Just something that you did this week that made you feel good, that you feel changed someone's life, that changed your life. Bob secured an amazing line
Yes.
for my live podcasting at the HR Tech next week, which is great. Congratulations, Bob. Emptied my two-car garage of 36 years.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy, Steve. Thank you for sharing that. Um, that did some serious connecting to network for my job hunt. Started a startup pre-accelerator. Game on. Love that. Um,
Ah, I
oh
love
my
it.
God. There's Thomas on there. Prepping to go to Dubai tomorrow. Thomas is a bachelor. That's the only reason he's on here. I know that based on where
A
his
temporary bachelor, we should.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Temporary bachelor. Good to say. I
I'm
had a
assuming.
orchid bloom. 8-year-old made me dinner last night. Wow.
Oh,
Ooh, cool stories. Just mine is my one big thing is once again it's going to tie back to well, I always have many, but this one big thing this week was interesting. Yesterday I happened to be in in Salt Lake City, Utah.
yes.
And once again, you never know where stuff's going to happen in the world, when stuff happens in the world, but for whatever reason, Wednesday through Friday, I happened to be in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, my one big thing that I'm going to talk about from Salt Lake City, Utah, um, was that I had an opportunity to speak to an amazing group of people from the Church of Latter-day Saints,
Mm.
250 people, and at an aquarium, of course, because of course, why would I not have speak at an aquarium with a big bunch of fish around me? But the uh, the best part of it was an opportunity I had to spend with a woman afterwards named Emma, whose husband just got laid off from his job and had never gotten laid off from a job before in his life and was to a point of really, really hard times. And we actually like got on and FaceTimed him
Oh my gosh.
and from after the speech, and we talked about ways to build his personal brand. He's an AI engineer. Um,
Wow. He's
ways
asked
to
me
think
unemployed
about things.
long.
And sometimes people take things for granted that everyone knows how to network or everyone knows how to build brands or things like that. And I think it takes something special to do that. And it takes something special to have the guts to reach out to someone and say, do you have something I can do? Steve just said effort. I mean,
Mm.
there's bravery, there's effort, there's courage, and at the same time, there's I don't want to get too deep into this specific, but there's a concept of maybe the best way to find a job isn't applying for jobs online
Mm.
randomly. And like I said, I don't want to get too deep into that because that's not what this is about. But I'm kind of frustrated more than with people saying they've applied for jobs online and they didn't hear something back in 24 hours. Or I'm sick of applying for jobs online and I'm not hearing back. Or
Hmm.
I'm sick of applying for jobs. Like I actually don't think many people are hiring people based on people applying for online, which is a whole nother discussion we're going to get into. But the point of, or we'll get into it at some point, not today. But the thing about the OBT was being able to provide some advice that helped the person. And then I got a text message this morning saying he got an interview from someone random he reached out to on LinkedIn that said they would talk to him today. So for me, that was my one big thing was impacting that. My other one big thing that I want to share is my son Alex delivered his senior speech
Mm.
as a senior, and one of the things that was so amazing to me was the title of his speech was "Being Human in an Artificial World,"
Mm.
and in front of all of his 120 seniors in his class, delivered an amazing speech um, that I know came from the fact that he listens to me talk about AI all the time. And he actually mentioned it in the speech. Like, my dad doesn't stop talking about AI at home. But guess what? OUR, future as a class is us sticking together as people,
Mm.
not us sticking together as people using AI.
Wow.
And I just was so proud of him. So, I mean, like that has to be. And today his birthday. He turns 18. I officially have no minors in my life any longer. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, that Alex, happy birthday. Love you.
Yeah.
And amazing, amazing job.
Happy birthday. I was making dinner when I watched his speech, and I haven't gotten all the way through it, but my favorite part is his brother being part of his intro. Like, as a father, does it even get any better than that?
I mean, his brother being part of his intro and his best friend from kindergarten, yeah, there were plenty of tears after that. So
Oh,
amazing, amazing, amazing time.
and
Very, very blessed. So anyway, all that being said, oh wow, we're 20 minutes in, just like we always do. We usually bring on a guest, but now we get to talk about some really meaty stuff. So I would love it if you guys would put some topics in. I didn't see many one big things, by the way. Donna, I love that you're getting internal referrals from executives, but not getting called back drives me crazy. Uh, I want to go back to Opal said stopped on the side of the road to help an elderly man.
Mm,
Um, I do want to really quickly recognize and just call out for those of you that do listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos. I did have an amazing opportunity to talk to one of my mentors in life, Thomas Otter. Um, excuse me, Dr. Thomas Otter. And Thomas and I have been, or at least I've been getting a ton of feedback on the podcast. It just came out yesterday, so I'm sure not anyone's listened to it. But anyway, um, I had not like Thomas and I spoke on a Sunday morning. Why I agreed to do this at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning when like two people have said you look tired. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I was tired actually. But it was an amazing conversation. And I just learned so much from Thomas. Like I literally love this guy. I literally love this guy. Um, and I'm not just saying that. I learned so much from him, and he's so freaking smart that I can't understand most of what he says sometimes, and it's not because of his accent. But yeah, I am glad Thomas that you were on, and thank you for taking the time. And I'm glad Andrew listened to it. Yeah, the analogies that Thomas used on that podcast, were everything from golf clubs to buffets to chocolate sauce. Based on it being 6 a.m. Sunday morning, I was a little confused at times, but we got there. So I'm glad, Andrew, that Andy, that you listened to it. Thanks for calling that out.
well, I can't wait to listen. It got bumped on my listening list because I had to catch up on some news yesterday. I'm not a huge podcast listener, but I have found that that is when I'm driving kids back and forth, if I can, like, especially quick hitting podcasts, that's when I download. But I need to like make time for Thomas. I agree. He is also one of my favorite people to read. I love Thomas's writing and his music recommendations. I usually get an earworm, whatever song he puts at the end of his article, and then it's, stuck in my head for 2 days because he's got
I
great
can't
music.
really say I enjoy his music taste.
That doesn't surprise me. I think
That's
it's
not,
not your genre. I think
yeah,
it's
it's
maybe
right.
different.
I've tried multiple times. And I'm like, yeah, I don't actually get why he likes that music. But anyway, yes,
Yeah,
it is.
okay.
Yes, the music. Did you see my face when you said that? I was like, I don't even
Thomas is a
know.
little
It's not.
punk. He's a little punk.
Yeah, he is a little punky. Yeah, you're right. Hey, and one other thing, just really quickly, and maybe this will get us into one of our topics. I recorded, and by the way, you guys, when I talk about the podcasts that I record, like I really like that I get to share with people. But I think Jess knows this because I've talked about it a lot to her. The biggest reason I like doing podcasts is because I learn.
Hmm.
And I don't take enough time to learn oftentimes in life. And then I try to share that with groups of people. I had an amazing conversation this morning with this guy, and he's actually been on our show before,
Yeah.
Tomas Chamorro Premusic. And Tomas has a brand new book out called "Don't Be Yourself."
Mm.
Actually, I shouldn't say this.
Coming out
Coming
next.
out.
Yeah.
It's coming out in October. Um, Why authenticity is overrated and what to do instead. And this is I read this book in preparation for my interview, and I was like, oh my God, like this is such a great read. It's provocative. It's meant to spark you. It's
Mhm.
meant to make you feel a little uncomfortable. It's meant to make you say, am I being too authentic in life? Um, the podcast will be out on Thursday next week, you guys. And I just think it's a brilliant book. Now, Jess, you and I talked about this a bit, and one of the things that he and I talked a lot about was this question of whether authenticity is a luxury or a liability.
Mm.
And we kind of laid it out where, we always write that leaders should bring their best selves, but not their whole self.
Mhm.
And what is the difference between bringing your whole self, as you were just talking about, versus bringing your best self, versus what another amazing person named Amy Edmondson, which some of you have heard of, wrote on the back of this book that says, Thomas illuminates why we should not chase the elusive and ultimately problematic notion of authenticity, but rather cultivate respect, openness, compromise, and commitment to something greater than ourselves.
Mm.
And I just loved that. I just love that. And Dorothy, you heard him say that sometimes our authentic selves are best left at home. So I wanted to start, well, not by, first of all, I hope you listened to the podcast because I had a ton of fun and I learned a ton this morning. But and you'll see I'm wearing the same clothes. But Jess, I'd love your thoughts just on the topic because it's something we've talked about before.
Yeah, for sure. As soon as you said you wanted to talk about, like, I sort of immediately, I mean, it got the right reaction out of me, like, oh, interesting. But I knew where he was going and what he was likely saying about. And it's kind of what I was alluding to the diverse group of human beings I collected for a retreat last weekend. Because when we're talking about bringing your whole self or being your most authentic self, being true to yourself, the whole kind of like come as you are um, thing, what that doesn't recognize, unless you add this, is read the room. A little bit of like read the room, or is there a commonly understood collective norm of behavior that is designed so that everybody can bring their best selves into the environment in a way that serves you and serves everyone else. So there's a little bit of that. And when I think about just pure authenticity for the sake of authenticity, I am me, that's I stay true to me, it almost disregards environmental factors, which to me is more about adaptability. So there's authenticity, and then there's also adaptability, a little bit of that read the room. What does this moment require? What should I bring or contribute into this space that is helpful, not just for me, but recognizes where everybody else is at? To me, it's a little bit of that. I have this conversation with my kids, like, yes, be true to yourself, but also what does the moment require? What does the broader community require? What's the space that you're in? It's a little bit of that to me. Is that where
So
he went with this? Because I haven't read the book yet.
yes, yes, it is. And it gets you to the point of I'm not this is I didn't talk to him about this, but I want to make sure I talk. So Bob just kind of went where I was going. How does that
Mm.
impact the perspective that culture is greater than culture fit?
Yeah.
And there's a difference. We did talk about this between free speech
Mm.
and right speech. And, hey, just because we have the ability in most of the places that we work or participate in the world have the right to free speech. Is it right?
Hmm.
And how much should I bring to work? How much should I bring to public, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And I realize I'm touching on a topic that's very close to a topic this week as well with what I'm going into here. But it really gets Dorothy just said free speech requires accountability. I like that. Bob just said we live in a society, George Costanza, which it's true. But how much should we, and to all audiences, bring these same kind of views and thoughts. And, Jess, you said to me once, I'm so sick of you. I don't think you were talking to me, but, you were talking to me as a leader saying, bring my whole self to work. And you said it
Yeah.
again earlier when we started the session here. You said, you're not ready for that.
Right.
You're not equipped for that. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And the more I get to know you, the more I probably am not all ready for all of you. Just, and that's nothing against you specifically, but just in
No, and I was speaking about employers.
yes,
Employers say everybody should bring their whole self to work. You are in no way prepared to support what that means if everybody did that. And again, that my retreat last weekend is a perfect example. Everybody bring your own special, unique selves, your own set of expectations, your interests, your requirements, your accommodation requests, your like if you say it, you have to know what that means and what that requires to support it. And for what purpose? I love Opal's earlier comment, not all ground is fertile, to thine own self be true, but not all ground is fertile. Like for what purpose? Like what's to be gained here? Do I need to bring everything or does this require something of me? And what is that? And I can't have this conversation without talking about safety. Not everybody feels safe and protected to bring everything into an environment that they don't necessarily trust to know what to do with that. So then there's a little bit of like self-preservation gut check that happens there when you say that sort of haphazardly.
yeah. I mean, you are so much closer to this than me that I should just shut up because I just not. I mean, as much as I'm human, I don't feel like I've given this the thought space that
Hmm.
that it deserves that it deserves. I don't feel like I've done a good job in my life with it. I try to be authentic, and I don't actually use a filter. And I don't think maybe that's not good. After reading the book and
Mm.
listening to the conversations, because maybe I am saying stuff that I shouldn't be saying. But I have to say it was a book was a wake up call to me to say maybe I should think about what I say a little bit more, or I should. I guess I struggle. I am struggling even after my conversation this morning with him. Um, I don't think enough. I don't think I think enough. I don't
Mm.
think I give it enough thought about when I should say what.
Mm.
And I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm not sure if my brain, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but
No, I think that's
I,
right.
maybe I need to slow down and maybe think more about, is this the right space to be saying what I'm saying?
Mm. Well, I think this community is a perfect example of um, defining the space that you've created. We do red, yellow, green, and people choose to participate or not because they understand, hopefully, if they've been here before, this is a safe space to say you're red. And whether like, so it's also about the environment. Like we've created a community I think intention has a lot to do with this. We have intentionally created space where it's okay to be authentic and to own red if you're red, or to celebrate green together if you're green. Newcomers often lurk in here the first few times because they're checking it out. It probably feels quite authentic, maybe even surprising to people who come in for the first time. And I think that's why people like to hang out sometimes, or they hang out forever and they never, sort of engage in the chat or choose to answer questions or whatever. That's cool too. But I think, I think that's part of, there are weeks, to be honest, where I don't necessarily want to say if I'm red or why I'm red or what I'm managing, because it wouldn't serve me in that moment. Even though this is a beloved community and a safe space, it really wouldn't do much for me. In fact, it might take away some of the energy I'm preserving for what I'm working on. And so I think that's a very personal. Oh, I love somebody's. Hi, Rhonda. I love that she just identified
I
herself.
do too. Thank you, Rhonda. It's
Yeah.
great to have you here. You
But I
know,
think it's a personal call too. Like, what does this do for me? If nothing, then maybe I don't want to be authentic with you today.
but I, yeah, but that's why this title, and he knows I have it like as like don't be yourself. Like,
Yeah,
in the podcast, you'll hear it. Um, he's like, well, that's what the publisher said I should call it. The publisher gets sell more books, but
right,
like anyway, we don't need to talk all about this whole time about this, but I think it's so. I mean, Leah just said it. So still be yourself. There's nothing
right.
wrong with that, but be cognizant of the fact that there are a million other reasons others can't be.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, Leah, I also think be cognizant of that. There's sometimes as yourself you may offend someone, or sometimes as yourself you may put someone off. I mean, people that have been part of the 276 shows know that Jess and I have gotten emails saying, "Hey, I was offended by what you said." Usually it's me, not her. But you were a little too vocal, or you shouldn't make such a political statement. And yeah, so I have a hard time not being myself.
Mm. I love that Opal knows to call this code switching. Yes, code switching
I
is a
really, I mean, that was what I was going to say, and sorry, this the chats. Code switching. I really love that you're calling that out, Opal. I've never heard that before. Uh,
Mhm.
but it's I've never even heard that term before.
Oh,
But
really? I,
no, that's why once again, new learning. But I love the fact that you said that.
yeah, it's a thing and it's valid. It's got its place. It's I don't think you can I don't think of code switching as a good or a bad thing. I think it's something we do, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes when we have read the room, or sometimes when we just need to get shit done. Like I feel like I'm in that mode right now, not now in this very moment, but in this sort of journey that I'm on. Oh my gosh, there's like hardcore code switching because sometimes I need to sit down and deliver a webinar and put everything else aside for a second. And then I need to like it's just getting into the right mode at the right time. And that's okay too.
So I know, Jess, that you're going to, you've been working on another speech this week, or a presentation this week
Yeah.
for a client. And one of the things that Tomas and I actually talked about in the green room before the podcast this morning. Yeah, and it was another 5 a.m. podcast. When you get the Europeans on, in order to get the Europeans, you have to wake up early.
Yeah.
They're early birds. But we were talking in the green room, and we spoke a whole hour in the green room before we actually recorded. And one of the things we said is that we said, and I want to I'm going to see if I'm going to use this right. And Opal and Jess just slap me in the face if I don't. But uh, we talked about how leaders today are not code switching.
Mm.
And that's why I want to see if I'm using it right. And when I say code switching, they're not flexing their leadership muscle to actually reset their business, reset their mindset, reset the expectations of whose job is it to protect employees in an AI first world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope I'm not making the term bigger or broader than it is. But the term reminds me of what we're trying to do with leaders today, which I know is, a topic that you wanted to bring up, which is how do we, oh no, did I say something wrong? That's
You
the
didn't say anything
poison.
wrong.
That's the poison of privilege. See, I know. Oh my God, now I knew I was going to get in trouble.
You're not in trouble. Opal's recognizing that those who naturally hold power or privilege or who have a level of authority, they don't need to code switch very much because the code is theirs. Like we're all code switching to operate within the broader norm. But I like where you're going with that because that is an app we can use an application of that to talk about leadership. Like maybe
I'm
others.
sorry if I offended someone. I did not mean to.
It's not offensive. It's more sort of the application of the term. And I think there can be other applications. I think that it's interesting. The client that asked me to come out and join their leadership summit, uh, actually, so I've been doing research over you're just like you love to record podcasts so you can learn. I love preparing for presentations almost more than delivering them because I do so much research and I learn so much about an organization and the way they behave. And this organization, when I research culture, like successful use cases and case studies of culture code, culture activation, leading transformation through leading everybody knows culture leads transformation, right? Let's all regroup in the chat. Everybody knows culture precedes transformation. When I research successful culture codes and culture stories, this organization is one that often comes up. So it's interesting to me that they're holding themselves so accountable and to such a high bar of success that they're saying, actually, we need you to come in and disrupt us even a little bit more. Because while we have a very strong culture and ethos and vision that everybody understands and lives by, we're not giving ourselves enough permission to act with authority, to hold ourselves accountable to decisions, to know when to escalate, how to own a decision, not just make one, but own a decision. So they're bumping that bar even higher than it already is because they're not a mess from a culture standpoint and a mission, vision, value standpoint. They're very clear about who they are, what needs to get done, and how they expect each other to behave to get that accomplished. I think it's a really, really interesting. I can't wait to deliver it. I I'm working with 70 of their leaders, sort of their top leadership, to talk about the behavior changes that are required to disrupt even more, to hold each other accountable to a higher bar of autonomy, decision-making authority, act without fear, but hold each other accountable. It's fascinating. I've been loving preparing for this one.
So what do you think, not to get too off track, but about where I was trying to go with this concept of people having to switch, or maybe it's not even code switching. Maybe it's code resetting. And maybe it's not
Yes.
even the word code. Maybe it's all this reset.
Yeah, I know
So,
exactly where you're going with it. Yeah.
because I think that, and this is what Tomas asked me, which is wow, this is why I started to go in the green room and then I completely got off track. He's like, Jason, do you think that most leaders are going to be able to get there?
Mm,
And I said, I'm starting to struggle with being optimistic of that because as much as I see people wanting to get there, I I worry that it's still like people keep going back to let's put, I'm not going to use the term again, but lipstick on a pig, and let's keep doing things the way we're doing them before, and let's look for faster ways to do something people hate faster. Like I don't see that leadership muscle being flexed. And I'm
mm,
so excited to do a session in Las Vegas on Monday on this topic.
yeah.
And it's all tied to change. But I, I think it's going to cost a lot of companies their company.
Mm.
Like, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to say it again in case it didn't land hard enough the first time. If I spent the rest of my career saying three words, culture precedes transformation. Like, yes, we're in this transformative moment. Yes, the pace of change, accelerating technology, all this stuff, all of the future of work stuff we all keep talking about. If you think for even a second you can shift your organization, transform your workforce, innovate with tools and technology, if you think for a second you can do any of that without addressing your cultural norms, do you have the right leadership in place? Do you have the right cultural expectations and behaviors? Do you know how to make decisions and hold each other accountable and measure success and go back to the drawing board when you don't hit success? Like, do you know how to act like this together?
Well, let's talk about that. Let's break
Yeah.
that. So let's say I don't know where I'm supposed to be going,
Mm,
which is what I hear a lot. Like, I know we have to change, but I have no idea where we're supposed to be going.
Hmm.
So I don't even, I mean, the concept of transformation, like, I know we have to change, but I have no idea how. I have no idea where. I know I have no idea what. And all of that said, if I take what you just said, and if I hear you right, going as a company, Dorothy, going as
Yeah.
a company, you might be able to apply this to a person, but I don't have it at the moment. I don't have enough waves to
As
think
a
about.
person, you're just vision boarding.
Yeah, I don't have, but so do you have to have culture before you even can set your destination? I guess is my question. Or
Well,
because what you just said, culture before transformation.
yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's right now, I struggle giving people the answer to that question. Like, do you have to have the right culture, even though I don't know where I'm going yet? Or should I set where I'm going and then think about what the culture I need is to get there?
Yeah. Well, so if you're in an organization that doesn't know who you are and you can't clearly articulate it and define it and
Not
explain
who you are, but where you're going.
then where you're going. So if you don't have a well-defined vision that everybody understands and can explain, then you start there.
So
Who
to me, that's part of the transformation part
Yeah.
before the culture part.
Yeah, but because then you back into the problem. Who are we? Who are we becoming? Who do we want to be? Where is all of this going? And once you have that articulated, then you look at the chasm between that and where you are now. And you have to sort of back into the problem. What is required for us to get there?
Yep. Right.
Any of it in
Yep.
place, right? People, tools, infrastructure,
Yes.
are we even set up right? You got to back into that problem, and you literally have to set the table before you can sit down for this meal. Because if you ignore everything that's missing, your systems, your infrastructure, your operating model, how you actually operate as a business, how you conduct yourself as leadership, how you communicate, how you manage change, if you ignore all of that and just expect to wave a magic wand, especially if it's a technology wand over all of this, nobody's going to know how to execute well. You will spend more time backtracking and fixing than making progress. We're
So
already with AI.
is there a linear culture change transformation?
Absolutely.
Is it linear or is it
It's
circular?
it's embedded. I don't know, whatever word you want. It's embedded. It has to be part of the journey. You have to address people and how you behave and how you make decisions and how you measure and go, optimize, go back and refine, test and refine how you fail together, like literally how you behave together.
Yeah, look at some of the. I love that some of these topics are really. Wow, I have to go back a little bit, but uh, Opal said, "What indicators should an organization look for to confirm they've achieved transformation?" I mean, Opal, that's a huge measures of success are a huge like bugaboo for me. So, I've forever been saying people say the go live is their measure of transformation, and it's such a stupid measure of transformation. But yes, there's lots of variations of transformation. Dorothy, I would say yes, you have a goal before a strategy. Your vision for yourself may not include this company, not safe. Change is not supposed to be a bully. How one presents their message gives folks a safe place. Culture casting.
Hmm.
I don't understand it yet, but I need to look into it before I say something else that I shouldn't say. But I'm not sure if that's casting for the right culture or if it's casting the culture, which I believe it's casting the culture, which I think that means I need to know I need to know where I'm going. We're watching a lot of this, you guys, right now with reskilling.
Yeah.
Like people are reskilling without knowing the skills they need. And the question is, am I
Totally.
casting without knowing the culture I want if I
Yeah.
go back to that concept?
Yeah. Yeah, you can reach a plateau. I hate I actually know what I'm going to own it. I love how much I use fitness as an analogy for transformation. If your goal is to get healthy and fit and build some muscle and fix your nutrition and stuff, you don't just do it a couple of times and it's done and you never have to do it again or pay attention to a thing. It's a lifestyle, it's a habit, it's not a Same thing with all of this stuff. It has to be a regimen. It has to be the way that you sort of live and behave every day. It's baked into the way you wake up and make decisions throughout the day. It's the same thing. Can you plateau? Sure, of course. You go back and tweak things. Your health changes, so you change the way you approach it.
So, Jess, the other thing that I think is really interesting around this topic, and I want to tie it back to that I've been talking about. I was at a company, I was at Audible up in Newark, New Jersey this week. And I said earlier when I was with the Church of Latter-day Saints, um, everyone is still, and I say everyone, that's not the right way to say it. These two specific organizations, they still believe that tools, i.e., AI, oh, that was a lot of letters, are EIEIO, are all going to change all of this, change their culture, change their vision, change their goals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's so, I mean, there are literally days where I'm sitting on a plane by myself. Um, and you've seen me on planes by myself where I really don't do anything but stare, where I'm like, am I wrong or are these people wrong? Like, do they really think that IT is going to stand up Microsoft Copilot and it's going to create culture?
Is that what they meant? They really think that technology is going to be so pervasive that it changes
Yes.
cultural. Wow.
And I don't like, and I might be wrong. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, the technology may be that magical that it wins. One of the things I talked to Thomas about this morning was AI as the ultimate authentic faker.
Hmm.
Faker.
Hmm.
That we can use technology to fake our way to being authentic in weird ways. But I just don't know if I don't feel, I should say, as much as I'm a technology like person, like I don't feel that people, oh, Nicole. Oh, Nicole. I just read a bit of what you said, and I have a whole nother topic on that. But I just don't feel that technology is going to create culture. I think culture has to be first, like you said, Jess. And
Right.
I think that transformation of what we're trying to do has to be there, and then the technology to support it. I don't see AI being that point today.
Yeah.
And I know it's an age-old issue, Daryl, but I just want to be, I'm sorry, Daryl, I just want to like jump on that one for a second. A lot of our old technology, you guys, has never shown any promise of sounding at all human. And I think that generative AI, because it sounds a bit human, even though it's not,
Hmm.
is giving people false hope. But I
Hmm.
totally agree with you, Daryl, on everything you just said in your comment there about many strategy leads and leaders have a long time believed that tools are the answer. I agree with you. I'm not sure we can take the exact same lens with this because this feels a little more human than the shift from client server to cloud.
Yeah.
Now, really quickly, Jess, uh, I literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on student loans chasing education to make corporate choices make sense. At the end of the day, all I can land on is that they're wrong. They know they're wrong, and they just have their fingers in their ears singing la la la, can't hear you. Thoughts?
Hmm. Well,
Well,
I mean, I just watched my kids go back to school, like many of us, and I see all of their syllabi coming home, and I read their technology policies, and I think my kids' schools are probably like most schools where it's a, kind of a put it away during the day policy. It's not they don't lock it up, they don't put it in any special, as far as their smartphones and technology. And I also see like the teacher emails saying, by the way, if I detect AI doing your homework, I'll throw it back, and this is how I'll treat your grade. So I see all of these sort of things, And it's funny to me that that's how much we've evolved. Rather, that's how little we've evolved in a few years. It's a um, it's a very black and white policy. Don't bring it, don't use it. This isn't the environment for that. I'm not seeing any sort of like evolution of thinking to say, think about technology as a tool. You might consider using some tools for this type of work. It would be appropriate to use it for research. For like, I'm literally not seeing the dialogue evolve. Just it's just don't use it. Don't bring your phones. Don't use any of this stuff to do your schoolwork. I wish I could like see some more open-minded thinking, not just in our organizations, but in our education systems. Like this is the rightful place for technology, especially if
I'm
you
starting to see my wife in here. It's so stupid. Luckily, our school has a red, yellow, green policy. Um, yeah, she- we're not going to talk. We won't talk. We don't have enough time to talk about that right now. But when
You know
you,
what I mean? Like we just make technology good or bad, like
yeah,
blank statements, good or bad, instead of nuanced as it should be. Do you need accommodations in the classroom? Do you need translation? Do you need like kids who require accommodation or assistive teaching in classroom? Like think about like how we can use some of these in more creative ways for good rather than it's terrible for all things, so don't even bring it, don't even use it's just it's a very narrow-minded approach.
I think it's huge. I think it's huge from a systems change standpoint. Um, and I would love to continue the conversation. It's not going to be right now. But I did want to just throw out one more thing that I saw this week that I wanted to share, and we'll talk about it in the future. But Jess, you see this?
I haven't seen this.
This as a college adjunct professor scares me crazily.
Mm.
Value Americans place on college education. How important is a college education today? Very important, fairly important, or not too important? Like, look at this. It's crazy. I think it's crazy. Like, look at 2010 to 2025. Like, that's a shorter period of time than Workday's been around. Just
Yeah.
for putting it into perspective. How I go from 75% to 35%.
There's a lot of reasons that go into that. It's because it's not deemed useful in finding a job. They're have a college education that costs more than they'll make in the next 10 years. Like there's so many macroeconomic and just bigger issues behind that, I feel.
Like, we really need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Not now. I bring up something, you always laugh at me. I bring up something like this right before we're done. But like, it's one of those things to me that I just wonder. I mean, I just wonder what systemically what we do with all of this and what we do with college debt and the debt that load. I had a great conversation for those of you that did listen to, maybe JC can put a link into the Thomas Otter podcast. But I had a great conversation with Thomas about this and how apprenticeships are such a big part of how Europe works,
Yeah.
that you're working and going to school at the same time. Um, without the yeah, John
Mm.
said, wonder what the numbers would be if you asked. Yeah, yeah. I mean, John, you're exactly right, and that's what in people in Europe they do see that there's value because I'm learning and going to school. And Opal, I am a massive supporter of apprenticeships, and I think that trade schools are probably going to be a bigger way of how we all work. But I don't think it's just trade like we're used to, like plumbing and electrical. I think there's going to be a marketing trade school, and I think there's going to probably be a graphic design trade
Yeah.
school that don't, sorry, trade school that don't require us to go through 4 years or get some of that. Now, there's opposite arguments. I totally get that about how we learn, how we grow, all of those, the social, the network, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But uh, yeah, Don, I just read I think that it's a fascinating discussion. I think it's one that we're, as a country in the US specifically, but globally, that we're going to have a conversation on going forward.
Um, it's part of the reason I've brought my oldest daughter on so many business trips with me because I kind of want her to see what the real world looks like. If my travels are any indication of the real world, who knows? Corporate consulting, I don't. But I want her to see what's real and what's not. I don't envision a traditional education path for her for a handful of reasons. If she wants that, I want her to be able to envision that for herself. But I also want her to know that there are options, because I think kids don't have a realistic notion that there are so many options and that they're all viable. There's
And
no
in the United States, it's a freaking status thing.
right. It's
And
not
I
a
don't
bad
want
thing to
kids
not
to
pursue.
feel that just because they choose an alternative path of what is normal today, which
Right.
basically when we look at that chart makes
Yeah.
you start to question whether it's actually how long it's going to be normal. I don't want them to feel like they're lesser humans in a world where we
Right.
need them.
And to the point of the cost of call, like we're expecting an 18-year-old whose frontal cortex lobe isn't even fully developed to make a massive investment decision in something that may or may not ever pay off, and then feel terrible when it doesn't from a just a pivoting perspective. And welcome to your new student debt. Like it's a crazy thing to know that that they're also able to make that kind of decision at such a young age. Like give yourself, let's all just breathe a little bit and have grace.
John, John, sorry to interrupt. John, we are going to drive optimism. Like
Yes.
and like and want to do it in a bigger way. So thank you guys all for being part of the community. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jess, but as everyone was leaving, I just wanted to make sure I thank people for that.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope for those of you that'll be in Vegas next week, please drop a note. I'm gonna put my cell phone number in here. I always do this. Drop a text. It would be great to get a hug, to get a selfie. Oh, Jess, you know who else I met this week?
Who?
Dave Ulrich.
You did?
Yes,
Where?
in Utah. I had and some no a lot of people don't even know who Dave Ulrich is, but Dave Ulrich is like one of the fathers or grandfathers of HR and the HR operating model.
Yes, I was going to say org design, but operating model is more accurate, right?
And
Like,
I totally had a brilliant conversation with him. I'll post the LinkedIn selfie because I had to get a selfie. I was the fanboy of Dave Ulrich. I've quoted Dave Ulrich like 1,000 times in my life, and to be able to have a drink with him, Diet Coke, was a true blessing. I
that
see. I've had a lot of one big things. This is where I have to capture them all because it was a big week.
I love it. I love it.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, please.
Happy birthday, Alex. If
Yes.
he ever watches this, or if he ever listens to it, Alex is, and it's Ben's birthday in 2 weeks too. And by the way, Ben's gonna be in Vegas. So,
Amazing.
yes, exactly. Should be fun. So, thank you guys. I hope we'll see some of you in Vegas. Otherwise, talk to you next Friday.
See you, everybody.
Take care.